And welcome back to Hiveswap Friendsim. I'm gonna get right into it because I don't have as much time as I'd like to right now. But we got some really good characters today, so I'm really excited. Okay, so yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. Oh, I hope that this is gonna be like really spooky and like come off like from the last one when it was really spooky too. Yeah, I want that to continue. This is a dark world. Both because it's night and because of the brutal struggle for survival among its polyhemochromatic inhabitants, many of whom seem to thrive on havoc and carnage. You'd be interested to see the Michelin guide entry for Alternia. You're convinced that after a day here, Ayn Rand would sign up with the Little Sisters of the Poor, Genghis Khan and Attila the Hun would join the Quakers, and Adolf Hitler would seek membership in the World of Peace Council. Whew, Goodwin's Law alert. Feeling a little dramatic tonight. Also feeling a bunch of big words that I don't understand tonight because I'm a stupid bitch. Okay. Okay. So, tonight we're gonna play Marsti Hutek and Karako Pierrot. I'm gonna say his name with a little bit of an accent because I feel like it, because I don't want to say Karako. That just doesn't sound right to me. I want to say Karako. Kind of sounds like caracol, which is a Spanish word for snail, and I like that. He's so little. Look at his little smile. Oh, he's so precious. Okay, so, because I feel like I need more energy for this one, I'm gonna play this one first. Oh, look, this is pretty. Having learned the dangers of using the public thoroughfares, you've taken to dodging down byways and skulking in rear areas, trying to spy out individuals who look ripe for friendship while avoiding the more criminally insane denizens. Just now you're following a winding footpath through the undergrowth surrounding a neighborhood where the local hives are spaced far apart. You came creeping along this footpath for safety. You should have known better. The undergrowth here is like most of the other life forms on Alternia, evolved to ruthlessly purge the gene pool of the weak and the reasonable. Coiled, spring-loaded stalks with foot-long thorns flank writhing bushes with razor-edged leaves, which in turn crowd-tentacled flora with toothed lobes oozing liquid that hisses and smokes when it touches the ground. Extreme caution is needed, just as it's needed in every circumstance on this planet. While your time on Alternia has gotten you accustomed to injuries, you still shrink from being impaled on sprung thorns and dissolved in acid. I can't talk. Get that out of my system. You should have known that eventually you would have to come up against the local flora. So you proceed discreetly. Avoiding poison fronds and trying not to step on trigger roots. But suddenly your vegetative focus is interrupted. You hear footsteps on the path, then around the corner comes a small figure. Hello, little guy! Ooh. Funky. Okay. I dig it. Alright, I'm gonna put the music down just a little tiny bit. Just in case. Because I don't want to... Wait, no. No, whatever. Options, right. Yeah. Okay, that should be good. He's so cute. I'm normally not a fan of purple bloods, but he's just so little. I hope he doesn't get ruined. Its face and horns are painted with smudged black and white marks. Despite its diminutive physique, it has some of the most impressive horns you've seen on any troll. Yeah, those are pretty— His little toes. Put some shoes on, you silly boy. Now the small figure sees you too, and is so startled it jumps a foot, impaling its horns in an overhanging tree branch and sticking there so that its small legs pump helplessly in the air. Honk! You beg the small person's pardon, and assure him that you were fully startled as he. You go on to explain that you are not dangerous, but even if you were, you would not want to come to strife with even a small person with horns of that size.
Huh?
Yes, you'll be happy to help him down as long as he promises not to attack you with the many-bladed weapons that are stuffed into his belt, or the dozen cans of an inexpensive soft drink held in ballondiers crossing his chest. He's got so many knives! I'm worried. It strikes you suddenly that a neighborly gesture like helping someone whose horns are stuck in a tree branch can scarcely fail to kindle the light of friendship. You dare to hope that this will be the case now. Edging forward, you get close to see that around the small clown's neck hangs a dog tag or ID necklace. You tilt your head and crane your neck to read the writing on it. Karako Pierrot. If lost, call Bronya. Oh my god! Is this your son? Suddenly this all makes sense. This Karako Pierrot must have been one of Bronya's reject runt wigglers who, having grown to childhood under her tender care, has gone out into the world to seek his fortune. That would account for his small size, short legs, and small stature relative to his horns. You eagerly pull out your palm husk, happy for an excuse to pester your old friend, but you've got zero signal out here. Also, you still have to pull a dude out of a tree. What? Don't stop to text a girl. You wonder if the surrounding vegetation eats palm husk signals just as it looks like it eats everything else. You disappointedly slip your palm husk back into your pocket.
Honk.
You apologize for the delay, explaining that you were surprised to find that you appear to have an acquaintance in common, whom you will have time to discuss later. For now, you are ready, willing, and hopefully able to help him down. You hope you won't be offended if you slip behind him first. It's not that you object to bladed weapons, or those who stuff dozens of them in their belts, but you sorry. But you feel that the one he's wearing could ruin your look if buried in your torso, however unintentionally. You edge past the weapons, being careful also not to touch the spring thorns growing at the edge of the path, or their trigger roots. Once you're behind Karako, you grasp his horns firmly and pull, withdrawing them from the tree branch and allowing him to drop lightly to the ground.
Honk.
You tell him that he's very welcome. Then there's a moment of awkward silence as you try to think of something else to say. Fortunately, your new potential friend is not as devoid of the social graces as you are and gets the conversational ball rolling himself.
Honk?
You explain that you are indeed a stranger in these parts, and that you actually don't fit into any of the hemospectrum categories. Wild, right? The other thing that's wild is how you can understand perfect Alternian. Not Alternian, clown. He's just honking. Although not quite as strange as you used to be, you like to think, you're really starting to blend in with the local color.
Huh?
Well, you'd rather not exhibit your blood just now. You're a couple of quarts low due to the robust conditions of life on Alternia, some of which you have recently had the honor of encountering.
Honk.
You sympathize. Slinking along these hidden paths in the Alternian woods can be tough on the morale. The smell alone is enough to make strong men weep, and the vegetation looks like it was designed by the Marquis de Sade. Sade? I don't know. Not that he knows who the Marquis de Sade is. I don't know who that is either. I'm not an old person. You can't help but feel that it would be so much better if one only had a skulk buddy. You continue. How wonderful it would be to travel these dusky lanes with a kindred spirit, a twin soul, a fellow traveler, an intimate crony. You're such an expert on friend synonyms by now.
Honk?
No, you haven't met anyone like that either, but you certainly would like to. Your new potential friend is obviously thinking seriously about this issue, so you back off, give him some space. You pretend to be deeply immersed in studying one of the razor-sharp leaves on one of the writhing bushes beside the path. You aren't one to force yourself on others, or try to unduly influence their friendship decisions. Okay, well, maybe you forced yourself on others in the past, and tried to influence their friendship decisions. Maybe you've done this. Maybe you've even done this a lot. But you've recently evolved as a person. You now know that friendship is something that has to come authentically from within. Friendship is spontaneous. Real friendship sprouts naturally from the soil of mutual respect. So not only do we get to watch characters develop, but you yourself are developing as a character. Ain't that wild? The best friendships grow and ripen over years and are not rushed or forced. Of course, you've only known the small person for about 5 minutes, but you have to start ripening sometime. You're reflecting thus on the theme of friendship when a loud pours suddenly from the sky above you. It's a crackling, sizzling sound, like a shitness thing with too many legs struggling in a hot frying pan. Karako jumps so violently that he nearly gets his horn stuck in the tree again. Looking up, you see a floating metal object, vaguely troll-shaped, but huge, faceless metal, and with numerous sets of lightning bolt-shaped horns coming out of its head and neck. It's also not a very sparkling conversationalist. It remarks in a flat, echoing blare. It elaborates further. Oh shit. Well, let's just go for the bad ending first, I guess.
Run! A drone!
You run in a wild panic! It's a drone! Even the Alternian badasses you've hung out with have been terrified of the drones. Up close, it's one of the most terrifying things you've ever seen, and it's making noises, which you didn't even know they did, and would probably mean something sinister. You race at top speed down the twisting path, focusing your senses to their breaking point to avoid trigger roots, razor leaves, and acid pods. At first you hear the pattering of small feet running behind you, but as you redouble your speed, the patterning falls back, and after a while it is lost in the distance. You sprint for what seems like a lifetime before you finally catch your foot on the trigger root and go flying through the air, barely missing being sliced into 100 pieces of tumbling ham by the barbed spring vine that lashes across the path only inches behind you. You land in the dirt, wind knocked out of you, but otherwise unhurt. You lie there, catching your breath and waiting, but nothing happens. No enormous metal monster whizzes down the path to impale you. No small clown-faced individual overtakes you on his short legs. Finally, after nothing happens, you pick yourself up and dust yourself off. You're alone on the path, and no sound of either friend or potential friend or foe can be heard. No birds sing, which is probably good. You imagined that any birds native to this forest would probably sing by croaking up putrid sludge, and that sludge would be poisonous or radioactive. But even inside the character of the local fauna, what should you do? Keep on down the path, putting more distance between yourself and the drone? Or should you go back and see if Karako is okay? You waffle for a while, then decide to go back. If this isn't the bad ending, I should have saved the boy and then gotten the bad thing. You know what? Let's do that. Let's see what happens if we do that. Nope. Just want to save here. I want to load. Yes. Leap to your proto-friend's aid! You leap to your proto-friend's aid! Thinking quickly, you push Karako against a large rock that juts out of the undergrowth nearby and jump in front of him, shielding him from the drone with your body, which is probably a bad move. You then pretend to be leaning against the rock in an attitude of tranquil repose. Several of the bladed weapons in Karako's belt poke you in the ass, but you don't let this show on your face. Instead, you yawn elaborately and check your wristwatch. You don't have a wristwatch, but you don't think drones would know what a wristwatch is anyway. You'll pretend to smoke a non-existent cigarette. Again, you're not giving anything away, because drones don't know what cigarettes are either. But the drone has apparently taken an interest in you. It floats down between trees and undergrowth and hovers above the path several meters from where you're pretending to relax against a rock after a long day of hiking through scenic shit-smell forest. It's quite a terrifying sight, actually. The drone observes soullessly, making Karako jump so that several of your internal organs are threatened. However, you maintain what you believe is the local populace would call a stiff upper whistle pillow. Upper whistle pillow. Whistle pillow. The drone's blank metal head studies you, or it could be studying something in the opposite direction, or even taking the drone equivalent of a piss. You can't really tell from its expression because it has no features to make expressions with. This examination, or non-examination, continues for some time. But your diminutive potential friend is well hidden from view. And after a while, evidently concluding that you are an inanimate object that makes unaccountable gestures with its wrists and fingers, the drone floats upward again, gaining speed until, with a dreary it whizzes off somewhere to find another hapless non-standard citizens. Other hapless non-standard citizens to euthanize. So, that was the good one? I'm confused. The other one was taking too long, and now this is a bad playthrough. When it's gone, you stand away from the rock and rub several sore places that have been pierced by bladed weapons. You turn to Karako to comment on the recent fervor, but stop when you see the look he's directing at you. A warm and admiring look, an affectionate and esteeming look, a look of friendship. Your first impulse is to throw your arms around him and lean in, but on second thought, remembering his pants arsenal, you put out your hand for a warm handshake. Victory is so close. But before you can seal the deal on a sweet friendship transaction, you hear a disturbance further down the path. God, can't the narrative chill for one single moment? Especially a moment when you're about to consummate a beautiful friendship? You turn to look. The footsteps, several sets of them, get nearer, and around the bend come 3 figures. 3 figures wearing swimming outfits, lots of gold jewelry, and insouciant expressions. 3 figures with gills on their necks and small stylized fins on their face. Oh man. Is it possible that you finally happened upon a group of legendary sea dwellers? They stop short when they see you and Karako, obviously startled. They study you. You study them. Then Finhead Interloper 1, in a one-piece and diamond earrings, whispers to her companions, and all 3 burst out laughing. Finhead Interloper 2, in a violent wetsuit and rings, slaps her thigh, and Finhead Interloper 3, in checkered swimming trunks, holds his sides. Part of you is relieved. Laughter drives out the devil is the best medicine, and in any event is better than homicidal mania. On the other hand, this laughter isn't friendly. It's cold, mocking, and supercilious. These sea dwellers are obviously laughing at you, not with you. You notice Karako's cheeks flushing purple under his face paint, and his jaws clenching. However, he just stares with stony dignity at the interlopers. This just makes them laugh harder. The first sea dweller says, "What are you 2 supposed to be?" "Shrimp Cassidy and the Squamous Kid," says her second companion. "A Colbait Minnow and his mutated soft-shell crab," says her third. "Looks like the Minimal one went down on the clown, causing it to spurt out the other one." What? Ew. Wait. Looks like the minimal one went down on the clown, causing it to spurt out the other one. I don't trust that line. The sea dweller's laughter is redoubled. You continue expressionless at these insults, but to your dismay, Karako's face is taking on a harsh, glowering look. You guess that such a tiny dude has probably been victimized by bullies his whole life. And as you happen to know, there are no bullies like Alternian bullies. Honk. You tell him to let them talk at the shit they want. You tell him to let them talk all the shit they want. Don't let them provoke him. If they're trying to get him to do something stupid, if he doesn't react, they'll get bored and go away. Honk. No, remember that drone? It's probably still around here somewhere. Touch a scale on their heads, and you could be rendered into mother grub feedstock. Hey, bottom feeders, no whispering when you're in the presence of your bathers. And you, little buoy, put a respectful expression on your recognition surface. Be more like your friend the slender manatee over there. In fact, why is it you 2 are still perpendicular? In the presence of sea dwellers, you should be bowed at right anglers. The first sea dweller seems to have an affinity for cheesy ocean puns. You bow to the sea dwellers. You have your dignity, but you also... you also like not getting killed. Karako remains stubbornly upright, his face getting angrier and purpler by the moment. The bladed weapons in his belt jingle from his enraged trembling. Oh, see, the little clownfish. He's getting angry. Looks like he's gonna shit his pants. What did I tell you about your face, boy? Didn't your Lucis teach you anything? I doubt he even has a Lucis. A self-respecting Lucis would never let a shrimp like that out of the hive. Unless his Lucis is just as effective. My goodness! The boy's gonna go off! The Lucis cracks are too much for Karako. Ignoring your hissed warnings, he suddenly leaps, snarling into the air, draws bladed weapons from his belt in each hand, and hurtles towards the sea dwellers. Hack! Hack! That was terrible, I'm sorry. Oh shit. You know what? I'm gonna do a stupid thing, and I'm gonna save there. Yes. And then, I'm sorry, this is gonna be really confusing, but I'm going to the other one. Because I want to go see what happens with that one, because that might have been, like, the first bad one. I hope there's not, like, not one of those. Or else I'm just ruining everything. Okay. You sneak back along the path. You sneak a long, long way, but however far you go, there are no signs of either Karako or the drone. You don't know whether the drone picked up Karako and took him away, or disemboweled him and scattered the fragments, or whether Karako leapt into the undergrowth and hid or escaped. Or what. One way or another, you're all alone again on this path through the shit-smell forest.
Lonely, I'm Mr. Lonely.
Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, we can go back to the main storyline, and, let's see, this one might end well, and might end in me dying, so I'm gonna play it. Grab him by the coattails and try to keep him from precipitating a disaster! You leap forward and you grab Karako by the coattails, or by his belt. You aren't actually sure what a coattail is. I do. It's like the tail of a coat. Like, a little fancy one. Jesus, he's strong! You can barely hold him. It's like trying to restrain a small truck. His legs rotate wildly, kicking up a cloud of dust, and then he brandishes his bladed weapons wildly in the direction of the sea dwellers. After a startled moment in which they jump backwards, the sea dwellers have started to laugh again, coming with more stupid insults and fish puns. This is not helping. Karako runs twice as hard, honks twice as loud, shakes his weapons twice as threateningly. Hey, hey, you shout at Karako, trying to be heard above the fracas, holding on with all your might and digging in your heels. You have half a mind to just let him go, to pay the sea dwellers back for their insults, but try to keep a cool head. You're doing your proto-friend much more good trying to restrain his wrath. You've now succeeded in wrapping your arms all the way around him, and now you get in front of him, holding him back with straight arms, bellowing soothingly into his face and trying to avoid the bladed weapons he's brandishing. But it's not working! You can see from the contorted features, the bared teeth, the disentended nostrils with smoke coming out, the blazing eyes, that Karako is getting more and more enraged. And suddenly, his rage seems to reach a kindling point. His body vibrates violently. His eyes grow huge and round. And suddenly, from his body, something like a nuclear blast pressure wave of fear and violence sends you flying through the air like a scrap of paper in a gale. What the fuck? Are you hallucinating? But you can see as you soar up above the path that the sea dwellers aren't laughing anymore. In fact, they're screaming in terror and fleeing wildly, blundering into razor leaves, being impaled by spring thorns and burned by pod acid, and generally receiving the stern retribution that awaits assholes. Then your head collides with a tree branch, and you are rendered unable to narrate for a while. Took a sip of water there, since I might as well wait. You wake up lying in the dust. As consciousness returns, you realize that you're lying on a path, and as it returns further, that a small clown-painted figure is seated next to you, quite calm now. He smiles fondly as he sees you sit up.
Honk!
You smile in return. You express relief that he realizes you were acting in his best interests, holding him back from the fin heads, and now largely because of his unexpected burst of clown sorcery, or whatever that was, everything has turned out for the best. Karako holds up his arms for a hug, but then remembering the bladed weapons in his belt, sticks out his hand. You shake it warmly. Hi, little boy. Wait. Little boy, but he's He's bigger than the protagonist. Okay. Well, that was our little son. That was short. It was a shorter episode. I mean, what much? There's not that much you can do with a little baby boy, I guess. I mean, there's the possibility that this one will be a little longer. So, let's see how that works out. Leap into the fray and lend comfort and support. You leap into the fray to lend comfort and support. You would have counseled Karako to turn the other cheek and keep turning cheek after cheek until the sea dwellers got fed up and went away, but now that things have hotted up, you're not about to let down the side. Karako crashes into the sea dwellers, his bladed weapons whirling like a blender. You scamper close behind him and kick someone in the shin. It hurts your foot, but doesn't seem to have any other effect. These sea dwellers are made of tough stuff, or you're extremely flimsy. Signs have recently pointed to the latter. Your next sortie is more effective, however. Thinking quickly, you pick up a rock and throw it at the triggered root of the spring thorn growing along the path next to where the violet bloods are enduring Hurricane Clown. The coiled stalk springs out, impaling the dude with a dozen foot-long thorns. He's thrown off balance, and the violet blood violet blood begins to flow copiously down his body. That's a hue you haven't seen before. Kinda pretty. But these sea dwellers are made of tough stuff. He yanks the spring thorn stalk away from him, pulling the thorns out and flings it into the woods. Then he takes out a pocket handkerchief and starts patting his injuries gently. Meanwhile, Karako's bladed weapons have not been idle, and the other two sea dwellers are likewise leaking violet blood. These bastards are hard to kill. You remember Polypa telling you that. As you watch, one of them grabs one of the bladed weapons from Karako's hand and buries it in Karako's stomach. This, unsurprisingly, is distracting for a poor little clown, allowing two of the Finny sons of bitches to grab handfuls of bladed weapons from his belt and bury them in various parts of his body. You dance around delivering harmless kicks and curses. Karako is still waving his weapons, but he seems to be waving them more slowly now. Then, as more and more bladed weapons are buried in his body, he seems to lose focus. The weapons he's been brandishing fall from his hands. Finally, he falls to the ground in the center of a spreading pool of purple blood, twitches feebly for a minute, and then is still. You stare in disbelief at the corpse of one who, if he had just been spared just a short while longer, would have been your friend, one despised and rejected, a clown of suffering familiar with pain. They had flogged him and mocked him and spit on him and then killed him. You struggle to come to terms with this. While you're doing that, one of the remaining sea dwellers grabs you by the hair and suplexes you onto the ground. Your head snaps back and pain explodes from behind your eyes.
The phone rang, sorry.
You are left lying on your back and trying to stay conscious, which is why you have a good view of what happens next. In the dark sky above you, something opens. Something even darker than the sky. A hole. Like a cave in the clouds. Why am I at the circus? Oh no! It widens until you can see that the cave, a carousel with wooden horses mounted on brass posts rotates, the horses plunging up and down in time with carnival music played by a mechanical organ. Riding the horses are naked store window mannequins, their legs slung awkwardly over the horses' backs, their stiff arms down by their sides in whatever pose they were created, their horns huge and wildly shaped. In the darkness above the carousel, other naked mannequins with plastic wings tied to their backs are supported on wires, and above these in turn a net of white Christmas tree lights twinkle against the roof of the dark cave or circus tent or whatever it is, throwing their dim starlight illumination down on the rotating carousel. Am I in clown heaven? Is that what's happening? Did I die and go to clown heaven? As you watch two of the winged mannequins break loose from their wilds and fly down from that dark region into the night sky in the dimension Alternia occupies. They maneuver until the stiff hands on the ends of their stiff arms are underneath Karako, and then they lift him up into the sky and into the dark carnival. You hear a last faint reviving honk as they set him on one of those wooden horses, and then the hole in the sky closes and there's nothing but the night sky above you. All is silent and still again. An odd feeling comes over you. You don't think you've ever felt such a feeling. Just the reality of how utterly insignificant you are. Sure, you've spent the last few months wandering with no desire but the desire for connection, and you are, in a way, a being unique in this galaxy, but honestly, what does that even mean? You flit in and out of people's lives, there 1 minute, gone the next, always moving from friend to friend. You are, for all intents and purposes, a virtual non-entity, a bland point-of-view vector, a neutral second-person narrator barely coming into the picture. A retiring entity expressing only a simple one-dimensional desire for friendship. But just about now, you feel that all the things have gone pretty far, and just about now, you feel like you've had about enough. Enough of arrogant high-bloods. Enough, in fact, of a short wavelength hemotypes carelessly and without compunction, killing and maiming and exploiting those of longer wavelengths. Of a survival of the fittest regime that seems to come down to survival of the most violent psychopaths. Is this a moral universe, or is it not? You ask yourself. Are repulsive cruelty and sickening evil punished in this universe, or are they not? Does an ethical force operate in this universe, or does it not? Is this music very fitting for this text? It's not! You don't know the one answer to these questions, but you do know one thing. You intend to depart for once from your one-dimensional persona. You intend to punish repulsive cruelty and sickening evil if it comes within your ability to do so. You intend to create an ethical force field in your local region. You intend to exert some moral gravity right around where you are, if you possibly can. And you realize that this odd feeling you were having seems to be drawing moral Higgs bosons, I don't know, out of the moral ground state, and right out of the fabric of this multicolored blood-soaked planet that heaves under your feet. You take on the aspect of Clown Sarker. Seizing 2 cans of inexpensive soft drink from where they fell from Karako's bandoliers, you shake them and pull the pins. Then, with malice afterthought, you direct the twin streams of the Sea Dwellers. You smell banana and strawberry as the deadly streams play upon them. Already weakened, they fall back with cries under the withering onslaught. As soon as the streams slacken, you take up 2 more cans, shake them, and deal out death to the unrighteous. You smell peach and diet root beer this time, but no pity softens your heart. You wouldn't care even if it were pineapple watermelon you were spraying these brutes. But these fin heads are made out of tough stuff, rallying even in the face of this intense onslaught. They push forward and, seizing some bladed weapons from the purple blood pool, advance upon you. Not one step back. You vow to the memory of Karako Pierrot. You stand your ground. In desperation, grabbing some cans of diet tonic water and club soda, and opening up your batteries once again. But to no avail. A trident pierces you to the bone, followed by a scimitar, a tomahawk, a short spear, and so many other bladed weapons that the sheer weight of them drives you to the ground, where your red, precious blood flows in moderate streams, mixing with the purple blood of your proto-friend. This is the end, you realize, but you are glad you died in righteous battle. You are glad you created even the tiny, sputtering, temporary moral force field in your local region that you did. You can feel your life and narrative point of view slipping away, but you are content. Yet, what's that you see above you now? A dark space has opened up, even darker than the night sky, and 2 stiff-looking winged fingers are descending. They land next to you and gently place their stiff hands under you. Then they ascend once again, lifting you higher and higher into the darker space. As you pass the boundary of the heavenly carnival, your life seems to revive within you, and as the fabric of the place closes around you and the 2 stiff mannequins you place you on a carousel horse next to Karako, you realize that planets, universes, dimensions, realities, powers, principalities, and cosmos come and go. But friendship is forever. Welcome to the Dark Carnival, motherfucker. Jesus fucking Christ. So, I guess we're gonna be killing a character every volume now, because that seems to be 2 in a row. Jesus. This one hurts more than Boulder. Well, I like that they're giving the protagonist a little more sense of something else other than, oh no, I just want to make friends. They're giving them a backstory. They're giving them motivations. They're giving them self-realization. That's all in all pretty fucking whack. And so was this whole damn episode, and I love Karako. I don't know how I want to say his last name though. I want to say Pierrot. I want to say Pierrot. Pierrot. I don't know. I don't care. But ouch. I mean, I guess I have to go start worshipping clown gods, I guess. Motherfucking miracles, bitch. Okay, I'm sad. I'm gonna go see if Marsty will cheer me up. Thanks for tuning in. Go watch Marsty next. See you next episode. Bye.